For most people, a court appearance is hardly something to shout about, but then Donald Trump is not, has never been, like most people. Before departing his Florida home today, he announced details of his travel arrangements on, where else, his own social media site, a chance for his supporters to rally along the route. And from Florida to New York via his own private plane, naturally emblazoned with his name upon its fuselage, this all had the air of an election campaign event. But at the same time, he was writing himself into history in a way he probably wouldn't have chosen, as the first former president in the entire history of the United States to face criminal charges. Tonight, he will sleep in Trump Towers. Tomorrow, he will emerge again to turn himself in to the legal authorities. The unprecedented president is in the spotlight again in a way that is without precedent.
He may not be a serving president, but he still travels like one. Touching down in New York this evening on a Trump-branded private jet. This moment in history was played out live on news stations across America. A former president being forced to face justice. With him for this journey was his son Eric, posting on social media that he was watching the coverage as they took off.
They don't come much tougher than Donald J. Trump.
Eric's wife, Lara, spoke to ITV News as the plane was in the air.
Is there a sense in which your father-in-law is sort of relishing this fight?
He does, in some ways, relish any fight where he knows he's right, where he knows he's standing up against the establishment and you know, people who want to change our country. Obviously, I think he probably wishes that it hadn't gotten this far, but he's ready to take it on, you know, and face it head on as everything else he's done in his life.
In a message to his supporters who'd lined his route in Florida, he'd reiterated his defiance in another tirade against the prosecution.
We are now officially a third world country. No president in the history of our country has been subjected to such vicious and disgusting attacks.
New York is braced for a political and media circus. The police are clear, though, they won't tolerate any attempt to interfere with justice.
While there may be some rabble-rousers thinking about coming to our city tomorrow, our message is clear and simple. Control yourselves. New York City is our home, not a playground for your misplaced anger.
Donald Trump is being forced to court because of the alleged hush money payments he made via his lawyer to this woman, Stormy Daniels. The adult film star claims she had a brief affair with the former president. It's the payments to silence her and the subsequent cover-up in company accounts which are at the centre of the case. Prosecutors claim they breached election finance laws.
Yeah, this is the first time a former president has ever been indicted.
Insiders who've worked with the Manhattan prosecutors know all too well how hard Trump will fight.
Trump he and his legal team employ these tactics of making every legal argument that is available, even if it's frivolous, in order to delay the cases. And so I see no reason why he wouldn't continue to do that here. And you know, he'll engage in a dual campaign of trying to bully and intimidate the witnesses and call them names.
Stormy Horseface Daniels, no attraction. No affair, I call it no affair.
A strategy already in evidence, but one that can't stop this case going forward. There was just the briefest glimpse of the man at the centre of this drama tonight. Now a carefully choreographed countdown is underway. Mugshots, fingerprints and a plea all lie ahead. An indelible stain on his reputation, whatever the eventual verdict.
And Dan is in New York tonight, as you can see. Dan, this is quite the event. What are we expecting tomorrow?
Well, we know he'll be due in court at 2:15 local time, that's 7:15 in the UK. We know it's going to be a pretty short hearing, probably about 15 minutes or so. There's lots of unknowns, though. We don't know whether we'll see him going into court, whether he'll drive in a convoy into an underground car park. We don't know whether we will see that mugshot. It's unlikely, I think. We are told that there won't be any handcuffs, and once it's all done and dusted, He's told us, or told the world, that he plans to fly straight back to Mar-a-Lago in Florida, and he'll do a televised address at 8:15 local time here, but he'll have to be very careful about precisely what he says. Clearly this is a pending case. He may be bound over by the judge not to go into too many details about precisely the charges that are laid out before him, or any kind of criticism of the judge or the prosecution.
OK, well, we've seen him boasting that this has bumped his poll numbers. You know, it's suggested it may help his presidential bid, or at least help his bid for the Republican nomination. But what is that going to do to American democracy, do you think?
Well, it's a pretty bleak day, really, isn't it, when a former president is facing criminal charges like this? I mean, you know, a few years ago, this would have been terribly damaging, or terminal, really, to any political campaign for the White House. The incredible thing is it's supercharging his campaign. One of his advisors put out a tweet today saying that they have raised $7 million since Thursday off the back of this, because he's constantly going on social media appealing to his base, not only saying that he's being victimized and all this, it's all political, but also that he wants their money.